The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Memphis Grizzlies in Game 2, 118 to 99. So OKC keeps their streak of keeping their opponents under 100 points for the postseason alive. Last year's postseason, they did it for five straight games, the first five games of the 2024 run. 2025, they're 2 0 in doing that. And more importantly, they're 2 0 in the series. This game was very different from the first one. This was a normal blowout. Instead of 51 points, it's 19 points. And throughout the game, the Grizzlies were making mini runs, specifically in the third quarter, where Memphis really put some pressure on the Thunder, outscored them by, I believe it was 9 points, 7 points in the third quarter. Pretty interesting stuff that Memphis was running. They were playing with a lot more pace, being more physical, and most importantly, they were just hitting their threes in that third quarter stretch. That's really what it came down to. Because if you look at I mentioned pace, but that was more so in their offensive sets, because they weren't running in the fast break. I don't recall what they finished at, but at one point, OKC was outscoring them 1 point in the fast break for Memphis to 19 in the fast break for OKC. And then at another point of the game, it was 25 to 2 in favor of OKC in terms of fast break scoring, which is a big factor. Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren have had back to back great playoff games, and that is absolutely huge for the Thunder. Chet had 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 blocks. I thought his defense was phenomenal. He was tasked with guarding the opposing big primarily, whether it be Zach Edey or Marvin Bagley, and he did a pretty good job. He rotating from the weak side to block shots. Hartenstein was being physical with Jaren Jackson. Chet helps, blocks a shot. Chet was also being a lot more assertive. It looks like he's found a way to draw free throws, which he's had mixed success with in the past, but outside of Shai, he's their best free throw drawer, and in this game even, Shai only had 4 free throws. Chet had 6 free throws, so that goes to show how impactful Chet was in just driving to the paint, forcing Memphis to rotate, and get and foul Chet basically. And then looking at J Dub, he had good control in this one. He could have been better from three, but overall, he was hitting some tough mid-range buckets, which is what you like to see because in the later rounds, OKC's going to be relying on him to do that. He did a good job of leading the lineups in the non-Shea minutes and even pushing the envelope forward and growing the lead. While that might not be that obvious, looking at just the plus minus stat, J-Dub was in the game during a big run in the fourth quarter to start the game. He was on the court while Memphis was making a run as well, so plus minus is always a wonky stat, but just overall tough shot making, hitting his mid range shots, looking in rhythm, and just really playing like the secondary star, along with his scrappy defense, was huge for the Thunder. Just being that Swiss Army knife all around and efficient bucket getter was huge. So that was Chet and J Dub. And then looking at Hartenstein, he did a great job just bringing in energy. Him and Caruso, we'll talk about them together. Caruso was A++. He had the highest plus minus in this game. 13 points, a bunch of hustle plays, 3 steals. He had some insane plays in the fourth quarter where they opened it on a 9-0 run. And this is why OKC signed Caruso. This is why they rested him so many games. This is why they paid him the big bucks. That $80 million contract over 4 years. This is literally the reason why they did that. And they're gonna need more of this as the series get tougher and tougher, as the games get more intense and more intense. And then last but not least from OKC side, it's gotta be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So he had an interesting game because he shot 10 for 29, 35%, finished with 27 points. This was probably one of his rougher games. I would say this was even rougher than the first game. And I really think it comes down to just shot selection. It looks like he's rushing shots. He's taking shots he usually doesn't take. He took a sidestep three, and if you know anything about Shai, when he takes a sidestep three, it usually isn't a good thing. That's not his go-to shot. He had a year in, I think, 2022 where he just forced it and he was trying to make it a thing and it just never worked. he's elite at step back threes, but sidestep it just doesn't work. And he airballed that attempt. He did a good job facilitating though to compensate for that and rebounding and played better defense, kind of to make up for the fact that he was struggling to hit a shot and he even looked frustrated on the court. Um, I expect him to bounce back pretty big in Memphis. He's typically the type of guy who just goes through the motions and then just really wants to hunt his shot when it's not going. And usually it works because he averaged 33 points efficiently. So far in the playoffs, he's shooting sub 40% through 2 games, not shooting many free throw attempts at all. This is quite the rough start, but I don't see it as a big concern long term because I just think he just needs to lock in. I mean, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He knows what he's doing. Now, moving on to Memphis, this was a much better effort from them. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 26 points and didn't play that good in defense. He let a lot of things go by. He was being hunted a little bit. He was being moved around by Hartenstein as well, but he got it going from deep and he got it going inside, and that's really where he was eating. Kind of went inside out. Similar thing with John Morant. He started the game 0 for 6, 0 for 7, and then from then he went 10 for 19. So he had a good game in this one and had a good bounce back night, which he needed. And even then, this is his version of a bounce back night against this tough OKC team. It's 23 points, 6 assists, and 5 turnovers. So even then, Ja has a lot he needs to work on. He had one insane block on Chet. So basically, Chet went for a fast break layup. Ja came out of nowhere, swatted it. It was a goaltend, but it wasn't counted as a goaltend, so it counts as a block. I'll give Ja the credit on that one. And yeah, for Memphis, it's really just getting that bench production. They only had 14 points off the bench. Santi Aldama had 10 of those points, and he shot 4 for 11 from the field. Marvin Bagley, who was a perfect like 9 for 9 or 8 for 8 in game 1, was 0 for 1 in this one, where when the screws tightened a little bit. So going back home for Memphis is going to be huge. They had a good shooting stretch in the third quarter, like I mentioned earlier. It's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back, because I expect the Grizzlies role players to be a lot more comfortable playing at home. Memphis's coach looks pretty, I'll just say inexperienced in the moment. He got a technical this game, and the timings with his timeouts and stuff like that seem a little bit off. And I don't blame him one bit because he just got thrown into the fire without kind of any heads up. He just, they fired their coach and they're like, hey, here's the opportunity. He took it. And yeah, it's a tough situation to be in for him. And then to go up against the number 1 seeded Oklahoma City Thunder, it's just like, there's not much you can do. I still expect OKC to win. My prediction was 5 games, but I'm feeling less confident in that now. I think it's looking like a sweep, but my takeaway is that they're gonna go 1-1 in this upcoming trip. OKC's probably gonna win game 3, and then game 4, Memphis are probably gonna win, and then OKC closes it out in game 5. So that's kind of my prediction. But the way things are going right now, it's looking like a sweep, because all that needs to happen is Shai needs to shoot even a little bit more efficiently, hopefully a lot more efficiently, and then these games would just be like huge blowouts. But yeah, credit to Memphis for playing hard, not giving up. But the problem with them is that they do things well that OKC is elite at taking away, and the vice versa on the defensive end. The things OKC does well, Memphis doesn't do a great job of defending. So it's kind of like the nightmare matchup for them. They've lost, I think it's like 10 straight games to OKC now, and a big part of it is just the stylistic way of how these teams play. Obviously, the injuries are huge to guys like Jalen Well and Brandon Clark, but it's tough going against this all-time great regular season team that's trying to be an all-time great team, period, by winning the championship. And yeah, facing them in the first round is never easy.